All right, all right, all right. Let those notifications go out. Yes, I know I was a little bit MIA yesterday, everyone. It was quite the day. Not a bad day. A lot of blessing in disguise, and that's fine. But I had some things I had to take care of regarding the car. And so I also know that, right, I had to contact maintenance about that smoke detector. It needed a new battery. But in the spiritual, I know exactly what was going on. Because, like the spiritual energy transfer that takes place, the same concept applies to how electromagnetic fields, right? How the static electricity goes through certain devices that are connected to. And so, a brief synopsis for you all is that my car alarm has that little gadget, right? And it takes a AAA battery. And it was sitting over here, not far from. But the point is that smoke detector, they are programmed to do this. Because when he revealed to me that those things will go wonky like that if they're not getting any power, that's what perked my spiritual ears up about the word power. Go, hold on a second. Talk about electrical power. I was like, hold up, though. Hold up. Because I had to get a new car battery. Hold on, wait a minute. Whoa. And so the repair guy with the battery, I was asking him, I was like, I'm still trying to figure out how that smoke detector affected this. It basically drained the battery out of my car thingy, which, right, through that electric, it's crazy making, but that's what happened. Because I also have a light over my sink that takes batteries, and I was having to change that like every other day when I first put it up, and I was like, this is weird. And then my hearing aid battery, I was having to change them more frequently. Aha! So that was draining. It was trying to get electrical power from whatever it could that has a battery, including these devices. But because these stay plugged up on a regular basis, I wouldn't know. You see? So I was like, oh, I get it. Because once you understand about frequencies and how they operate and the law of physics, law of reflection, it makes more sense. It makes more sense how these smoke detectors are programmed to do that. When the battery in it goes, if there's anything else inside the environment that has a battery, it's going to try it through the electromagnetic static. See, the repair guy for the battery, he said, you got it. It's the static, electricity. So I said, oh, okay. So basically, that drained, because I had that checked before I moved from North Carolina. I had the whole car got checked out. Everything got checked. Everything was good. Plus, I did have to have a jump one of the days that I was working in the car because I left my headlights on because it was raining. So I had to call roadside assistance. And when they came to give me the jump, he checked everything. He said, he said the battery was good. And that's not even been a year ago. So I wanted to know what in the world. Okay, now that explains it going off. But at the same time, it's not a coincidence that, there's some things in the spiritual that I've documented about that. Because it was partly a spiritual attack. But then there's also that physical side of it. It needed a battery of its own, so it would stop draining batteries on everything else that I've got in here. And I went, aha, okay. So there you go. That's just a little synopsis. Oh, gosh. Okay. So that's what happened yesterday. And so after that, I was able to, I had to wait for the repair guy. And so it was much later in the afternoon than usual for me for going and getting some groceries. I had to run some errands. Well, Right, as I was on my way back with the groceries, my low tire thingy came on. And I was like, oh, okay. So I had to go get that taken care of. I was like, wait, that's the third time. Hold on a second. I need to go have this thing looked at. And turns out, I had to get a new tire. Anywho, all right, so it was quite the day yesterday, and another day today of discovery on how all of that played out over the last couple of months, because I was like, wait a minute. When I had these things checked before I moved, it just did not make sense to me as to what went down. But I remember some other things that occurred when I was still observing the ex-psycho roommate. Yeah, he was a case study, and I was learning about all of this stuff associated with electrocution and radio frequency. And I said, oh, that makes sense, because it operates in a similar way as spiritual energy transfer. Remember that. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA Let's Just Chat show, streaming on the YouTube channel, Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. That's right, while combating radio frequency poisoning for healthier living. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true technique, and more here and at CDHRWDRMD.com. The link to the Academy is listed below. Some of you might need to copy and paste the link to view what CHAAcademyBTBW.com offers to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. So I want to dive into it because we have got to remember this, okay? And I'm going to share something else with you all that I noticed about this game of narcissism on the world stage, because it's very important to remember a lot of things inside the game of narcissism, and a lot of people are not aware that it does occur on the societal level, and it also shows their insecurity. Okay, and it's just the way that a lot of them have been taught to conduct business. It's like we're not dependent on reviews, but we do appreciate them. So if any of you haven't yet and would like to, the Google review link to our Google business profile is listed below also. So I thank you to all who have left one and all who will, because they're good for building trust. So we understand that part, but we're not dependent on them. There are those out here, businesses and whatnot, who are dependent on those reviews. We're not. But they are good for building trust. And we understand the trust issue, don't we? Oh gosh, yes, we do, because of all of the traumatization, right? So we got to learn that, the devil and his narcissist, once they see that something gets under our skin or annoys us or irritates us, they're going to do more of it, because they want us to step out of character. And that also shows that we're still easily triggered if it works. This is why we overcome those triggers, everybody. It's so important, because we also understand that even if there is something that's not bothering us, for example, like the smoke detector going off wasn't bothering me, but it was baffling me more than anything, because I said, okay, hold on a second. And I didn't even think of that it needed a battery, because that's not my area of expertise. But it's like God told me this morning on my walk, he said, honey child, he said, you paying rent. He said, go and talk to them. They'll probably know what's going on in the physical. We know what's going on in the spiritual, but there was also some stuff going on. See, that's the discernment, y'all. This is why we got to have that discernment, okay? Because wherever there is a spiritual element, there's going to be a physical element. One more time for those in the back. Wherever there is a spiritual element, there's going to be a physical element. After all, we are spiritual beings living in a physical body, experiencing a physical experience on this planet. Sown a physical body, raised a spiritual body. Again, 1 Corinthians 1544. Got to get that understanding. And so they will do more. So that's why I was not on IG yesterday live like I would usually be. By the time I got all of that done, and I was just like, I did not feel like cooking, so I had to pick some dinner up. I just want to get back here and sort through it all. Yeah, so anyhow, yes, for those who are wondering, I showed that at the very beginning. What a day it was yesterday. But yes, they do. If once the narcissist can see that what they're doing is annoying you, they're going to do more of it. Because that's entertainment to them. And so as spiritual warriors for Christ, chosen one, as we continue to mature and grow and evolve as we're supposed to, yeah, they don't, no, we overcome those triggers and not let them. So, yes, hello, thank you. Speaking of annoying, we had a meeting with a very condescending manager at work who was clearly doing this deliberately to try and trigger me. And so, you brought it to his attention, and he eventually apologized. Now, I'm hoping that was a sincere apology, because if it was, then there's hope for that one. There's hope for him. So, glory be to God. But yeah, that happened. And they often, when, until we even got control of ourselves, you all, we did in similar manners with others, because it's not that we were taking it out on them, it's just that we would get a little bit shorter. We didn't necessarily go and like yell at them or get irate or anything like that, but we would often get a little bit snippy. Yes, moved in our own eyes before we knew what was going on. And that they were triggering us. And that is how they would know what they did work, is if we got a little bit snippy. Okay? But we eventually knocked that off too, because we put away childish things. And so we're able to knock that off and no longer get that way, because it no longer triggers us, because we can see what they're trying to do. And that's a good example right there. When we can see what they're trying to do. And when we point it out, if they genuinely apologize, there's some hope there. There's some hope. So I just wanted to get on here and remind everybody of that. Don't let them. We have the power and authority on the inside of us to not allow these narcissists to get under our skin anymore. And so we also learned that the devil is all about appearances, right? So even if we're not easily triggered anymore, let's just say the narcissist, a Jezebel perhaps, is trying to trigger us, let's say virtually, and it's not working. But in their delusional mind, they think it is. Because that's what they want to see. They don't want to see that their things are not working. But I will tell you this, like with that Jezebel case study, I could tell when she was trying to do that. And it wasn't working. And I could sense her frustration because it was not getting, right, what she was doing was not getting the expected negative reaction out of me. You know what I'm saying? Is that when we pick up on this stuff. So, keeping our empathy in the neutral switch. Right? Inside here, I got to share this funny with you all, because I was like, okay, occasionally we do have, yes, we have pest control come on in now once a month, but still you get that occasional visitor. And so I was trying to figure out why. I thought it was my ANS that was responding as it used to when I was younger. No, God revealed something to me that I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah. I'm sensing that little visitor's fear, not, my ANS was not acting up. I was sensing the spiritual energy of the visitor. How crazy is that? I was like, okay. So that's going to help somebody. If you're wondering, okay, yeah, because, well, that one moved a little bit too fast for me to get him, but I did chase him out. All right, and then we got the bleach out. So it's like, okay. And yeah, it's not because I'm not clean or anything. It's just I had some lunch items in baggies that were pulled out on the counter, and it could smell that stuff. That's what it was. And so I said, oh, since I know I'm not going to have lunch in the next 5 minutes, I put everything in the pan and I stuck it back in the fridge. Yeah, because I was like, oh, because they could smell that stuff. Like, it's amazing, but they could smell it from quite a ways away. But, and I was like, why the goosebumps? You know, like, why the goosebumps? I was like, I am not afraid of these suckers. Have not been for years. And God said, well, but it's afraid of you. And what is it that chosen one can do? Oh. So it's not just the spiritual energy of the narcissist and others out here that we can send. It's spiritual energies of these little critters sometimes. I was like, you have got to be kidding. That's crazy. Like, that is just crazy. But it's, well, obviously, I mean, it's a living thing. So remember, they are way afraid of us. We know this. That's why they run away. When we spot them or turn on the light, they are, yeah. And so I was like, that makes sense, because it was a very similar feeling that I got when in the last toxic workplace, not anywhere near as profound, but very similar sensation when the Jezebel in charge came down and was trying to force me to participate in a satanic ritual. And I had said no. The amount of fear that she projected outward was through the roof. Okay, but it was very similar with that little critter. And I went, okay. So there you go. I just wanted to share it with y'all. I am the bug whisperer. That's a good one. Yeah, they got to eat like everything else. You know what's funny though? I remember telling somebody, I said, I'm amazed that they would go after the health food that we've got. Like, seriously? And that person said, well, I guess you never know. Yeah, as parasites, you would think that they would go after junk food and other things, but no. Anything that they can get, I guess. Who knows? But I will tell you this. We do learn that they do prefer to stay outside. They don't really like coming on in. Because, right, they live in fear of being exposed. That's not a coincidence when you think about the narcissist and the devil living in fear of being exposed. Why do you think we refer to the narcissist as parasites? There you go. It's not a coincidence. And so we realized that a new line of work. Thank you, Bug Whisperer. Thank you. I'm not going to put that in my title. But it is pretty funny. And it's pretty intriguing, too. So that means that we're able to do it with animals. Right? Because I remember before learning about spiritual energy transfer, well, it makes sense. If we can sense the fear of these narcissists like that, like I did in the last toxic workplace, right? If we can sense that, then why not the fear of a bug or an animal? Of course, it's all spiritual energy transfer. It's just I didn't notice that until recently, because I was thinking that my autonomic nervous system, because it lived in the past, I thought it was reacting the way I used to react. It not got anything to do with my ANS, because the thing is that those things come and go. I mean, it happens, right? It's part of nature, part of life, and especially when you live on the first floor. So it's like, okay. And I said, I hope he ran under the pest control little traps in here. And so I said, I hope he ran up underneath the dishwasher and got himself stuck. Yeah, they're not going to get far. Either my flip-flop gets them, or the traps, or bleach. One way or the other. But anyhow, why wouldn't we be able to sense the spiritual energy of other living beings? Of course. So it makes sense for chosen one who are in tune with themselves, right? We are in tune. We're like, okay, we understand spiritual energy transfer, and then same energy transfer, even with radio frequency and the physical. We get a better understanding of that and how it operates through devices and such. And I'm telling you, that's quite a revelation right there for me. I'm like, oh, okay. So I learned something that, and he told me, the maintenance guy said, like, he said, when it's not getting any power of its own, like from a battery, it's going to act up like that. But there's more to it. It's going to try to draw power from anything that's got batteries in this environment, because it's programmed to do that. So anyhow, there comes the spiritual side. Because, what would we do? And what did I do until I knew what was going on? That's right. I had to go and buy more batteries for the light above the sink. That's right. So anyhow, that's all part of the game of narcissism on the world stage as well. So that's very interesting. And so, we usually don't consider that bugs have awareness and a spirit too. Yeah, we usually don't. But who do you think created those? Exactly, our Heavenly Father. So it's like, even though we're like, I have no idea what purpose that little sucker serves, but they all serve some kind of purpose. God did not create these living beings. He knew that us humans would get a flip-flop out or a flash spotter. He knew that. That's why he makes more of them. I don't know what purpose they serve either. Well, we do for some, but there are some that we wonder about. For example, like a mosquito eater, it's that larger version. It looks like a mosquito, but it's not. I don't kill those. If I find one in here, I get it back outside, because I know what job it has. He's a mosquito eater, right? So that's their purpose. I get that sucker outside to do its job. Yeah, I don't kill those. So for whoever didn't know that, now you do. And you can look it up too. All right, so that's what I'm saying. Some bugs we know. I don't even know why the Holy Spirit just hasn't gone this way for whatever reason. And I think it might be this, Chris, because to explore the fact that we really tend to not consider them being spiritual. But they are. I mean, they're a living being. All of God's living beings are going to emit a spiritual energy. So it makes sense. Like for dogs and cats, all animals, living beings, created by God. So of course, it's going to have a spirit too. Something to think about, isn't it? That we really don't stop to consider that. It doesn't mean I won't get my flip-flop out. It just means it's a whole new way of looking at things, going, okay. So that can help someone who may still be having a little bit of a fear issue of them. That's going to help somebody overcome it. When you change that thinking a little bit, go, you know what? I mean, they're just doing what they're programmed to do, is to go after food. So whatever their intended purpose is by God. Now, right, we do know that there are some who are put, that God created to, like, the smaller thing, like ants, maybe a particular, I'm sure, was here to keep the ant population under control, right? And then we also know about the being in fly trap, right? What is its role? Well, to catch fly. So even a plant. So everything has a purpose. God does not create his living being without a purpose. And what purpose do the narcissists serve? Right. As a catalyst to our awakening. That's it. And I take that back. I stand corrected. They serve as a catalyst to our awakening and also a lesson of how not to behave. Think about that. The narcissists teach us how not to behave. So we go, because we don't want to be like that. Chosen one, never meant to be like that. So it really is. That's thought-provoking when you think about it. That, yeah. So if the enemy sees that something like that, for example, still bothers us, then the enemy will do more of that. However he does it. And so I know that when I mentioned the smoke detector in the spiritual, that the devil and his minion thought, because they misinterpret things on purpose, thought that it was annoying me. Plus not, because I'm no stranger to one of those suckers going wonky. It's happened before. I just didn't think about the battery aspect. So, but yeah. You would think that the word would get out in the bug community to avoid your place when they see the go out, but they don't come back. I wondered that. I remember telling the pest control guy that when he came first time. I said, I asked him, I said, I was wondering how when one of those suckers comes in here, if any of their buddies notice they don't come back out. And he laughed. He said, because I shared with him, I said, yeah, so I got a little flip-flop. And he goes, oh, they get assaulted. Yeah. Yeah, I wondered that same thing, but I don't think they're very bright. I would imagine that they have a level of intelligence to serve whatever purpose they serve, but I don't think it goes beyond that. Oh, but okay, it's like in the animal world where the predators stimulate the prey and keep the prey in shape to outrun or outwit the predators. Yes. Right. Oh man, that's another good connection. That I don't right. We know that with the narcissist, their level of awareness does not go very high. And we know that they're not all that bright either. They might know what they need to know for their area of expertise, but it doesn't go beyond that. The elevator does not go all the way to the top. Oh yeah, with the same thing with bugs, their level of awareness, I think, is just enough for whatever their purpose is. I don't think it goes beyond that. But I get what you're saying about that. But yeah, that in the animal world, that if the prey is right, it stimulates the prey to stay in shape so that the prey can outrun the predator. So it makes sense. Yeah, in the animal world, I can see that. I can see that. And so a similar concept in our world, right, in the human world, where chosen ones want to learn new things, right, continue to get that heightened awareness, right, so that we can outrun mentally, spiritually, emotionally, we outrun the narcissist because we continue to level up in awareness, God's wisdom, and then other things that are meaningful, right? Yeah, you're going to hear that in the podcast a lot because it's true. Chosen ones prefer substance. You know, small talk, I know we have to engage in it if we're keeping the peace in a toxic workplace or a toxic environment. I get it. Eventually, we don't have to do that anymore. Glory be to God. So, yeah, that was pretty funny. Pretty funny. But, yeah, the narcs don't seem to have any. You know, the human host does not have any spiritual awareness. They don't. Remember, they're crept and unawares. So you're correct about that. They don't. They were not raised a spiritual body. Remember, God turned them over to a reprobate mind. And over to strong delusion. For many reasons. So it's like, you know, and no, God doesn't like having to do that. But he is a promise keeper. And so we just learn to go, okay, but they really truly don't. They don't have, it's like they do have some level of awareness that what they're doing is annoying and irritating others, but they don't understand the spiritual aspect of that. They don't understand the spiritual energy transfer side of things. All they know is that they can smell or sniff out when we are wearing hearts on our sleeve, right? That empathy. They can sense that. But they don't understand. They don't have the level of spiritual awareness that there's a spiritual energy transfer going on there. Now, their demon spirit know that our empathy is the spiritual energy conduit, but the human host does not. So, there's a difference. And it takes a while to wrap our heads around the fact that, yeah, these demonically possessed biological beings out here, that they are demonically possessed. Crept and unaware, Jude 1:4. So, I want to make sure I'm keeping up. Right, where there are times when we have to play the fool to let the fool think they're fooling us. Yes, I know. There you go. That small talk stuff. We have to let them think that they're fooling us when they're not. Right? They have a sense that we are of God, but not why they have that sense. Exactly. They're not aware of the fact that they can sense, right? But they don't know why. And many of us have heard the narcissist tell us as they're trying to explain another narcissist's behaviors to us when we didn't even ask. For example, like a roommate, I'm in the kitchen, I'm preparing a snack, meal, whatever, I'm just doing my thing. And one of his family members was doing something, whatever. apparently he decided that I needed to know that he didn't know why she did that. Oh yeah, that's classic for them. But it's true, they don't know why. And so when he told me that, I was like, okay. Did I ask? No. But they do that, even though we never ask. So it also lets us know that he may have been wondering why she did what she did. And couldn't come up with an explanation, so decided that he needed to tell me that he didn't know why she acted the way she did or did what she did or whatever. The behaviors that she engaged in. I didn't ask. And so many of us have experienced that quite a lot until God awakened us. We realized now we know why. And we know why they say that. Because it's true. They don't know. They know the how. They know when they're dishing out some of that abuse. Of course they do. They know exactly when they're dishing out some of that. The guilt tripping. Oh, they do. Because we catch it in their tone. And they've got their head, they're looking downward and their tone kind of like wavers a little bit. That lets us know they know. Shout a guilt trip. So they do, oh yeah. And so, exactly. So we learned that that level of awareness for chosen ones, it's just going to continue to increase as it should. And so as it continues to increase, we get better at discerning between the physical and the spiritual. Like I shared with you all, the smoke detector, the physical side of how it drained my car battery, and then on the spiritual side of the timing of things. And the physical side where it will it'll drain battery power from anything else that it can that's in the environment, especially if it's in the same frequency range. So, and the little car alarm, when it beeps, it's in the same frequency range, just a lower volume. So, there you go. It makes sense. So, that's the physical side. And then the spiritual side, we know how radio frequency is used to manipulate the autonomic nervous system. Physical and spiritual there. And so and it being programmed to do what it does, to go wonky like that, that's spiritual. When it loses its own power, it starts to throw a temper tantrum. Think about it. Yeah. That's how I'm looking at it. So, there you go. But I know that the enemy also misinterpreted the fact that I mentioned it as though it was bothering me. No. It was just baffling me more than anything. So, there you go. Baffling me, and I was like, what else is going on? There could be something else going on. Well, we found out real quick yesterday what was going on. So, is it attached to the electricity? Yes, but still needs a battery. So, yes. Never forget that red flag. Seriously, yes. If they come at you with that pleading puppy dog look, a grown adult should not have that. So thank you for that reminder, Chris. Very, very important for somebody. We don't want y'all getting yourself into a situation due to that. Remember, if it's tugging at any heartstring, stop. That's not coming from God. Okay, God does not. God knows, listen, he's looking at our heart. Remember, the God is on the inside, chosen one. So he knows. He knows where our heart is. He already knows we have no ill intention towards anybody or anything. He already knows that we're not sitting here with spiritual wickedness in high places. He already knows that we're seeking ye first the kingdom of God. He already knows we're healing, right? He already knows we're detoxing. He already knows, okay? And so he knows we're doing his perfect will. So like I'm up here serving the God Spirit and you are right now, right? For the kingdom, right? The kingdom business at Consulting for Heightened Awareness, y'all. This is kingdom business. And so we've got this vision board. We've got plenty to keep us busy. And so I want y'all to know something. I have several things, like 5 different things on this list for today. But it looks like I may only get a couple of them done today. And God said that's okay. Because he had us make another association with our ANS because it was still associating eating. Just the sheer act of eating with not just 1, but 3 previous toxic environments. That's huge. So that's for somebody. If you're noticing that your ANS is still acting up as you are engaging in a activity, it recognizes, but it's associating with, it's a negative association. Because the one thing I did in all 3, the Jezebel case study, right? Yep. I ate dinner before all of that went down. Right? Okay, so negative association. The previous 2 environments. I also ate my meals, cooked and ate my meals. But the other thing that I did in those other 2 environments was stand at the kitchen sink and wash dishes sometimes. If we didn't have, if there was just a few dishes and the dishwasher had just been cleaned out, there would be a strainer. And so I would just wash up those few instead of, because I personally don't like to have dishes with food residue or food stuck on them in that dishwasher for any amount of. I don't like to have any food residue or thing on the dishes sitting in the dishwasher for 3 or 4 days before. It's just me, before I fill it up. I don't want to do that. When I use the dishwasher, it's typically when I have made my soups because I'm using more, right? Yeah. And when it is at least half or more full, I'll run it. But I don't like to leave just a few items in there for several days before. Nah, I don't like doing that. That's me. That's my thing. I've always been that way when it comes to a dishwasher. So the act of washing dishes is associated with those other 2 places. So there's a lot of breaking associations that we've got to do with with the autonomic nervous system. Because I was trying to figure out, I was like, I'm aware of it. So as soon as I notice something back there trying to tense up, I go, hold up a second, relax. And so I'm talking to God. I'm eating some chicken wings. I'm like, what's going on here? And he's like, well, just the sheer fact you're eating. That's remembering. That's for somebody, for the detoxing. Okay? So that's what it's remembering. The activity from 3 previous environments that were toxic and where it got a little bit stressed. So I'm like, okay. So now we can work on, talking to it, telling it, hey, everything is okay now. It's okay because remember, I know for myself, the first go round, my ANS, God told me it did heal. It grew and matured. And that one's still there. But underneath that is the inner child that got re-traumatized. Because let's face it, I don't have a mature adult ANF without having been a child first. We did not come into being grown, mature adult without being a child first. But what I didn't know is that the inner child was still there. And so for us, it is. It's still there. It's just we are more conscious of what we're doing as far as engagement and what we're consuming information-wise and things like that, and getting more of God's wisdom. And we're more aware of how we're behaving and how not to behave. So those are things that are going on, but that was most recent. So I want y'all to not beat yourself up. If you've got several things on the list that you're like, yeah, you're all psyched out, right? You wake up, you're feeling better. You're like, okay, here's what I want to get done today. And so you look at your list and you're like, okay. And then for whatever reason, it's like I went on my walk and talking with God and working out that salvation. Right. And then by the time I got back in, after I got back in here and we got that fixed, okay, the smoke detector, got that fixed. And then I'm like, okay. And then I made that right. And then I was like, okay, I got to figure out why that happened with the car. So I went there because I said, there's an answer. I can feel it. I know there's a connection here in the physical to how that went down. And it's very similar to spiritual energy transfer. But what is it? I make the connection. So God and I were having that talk, and he was revealing to me, because the things that I learned previously about the law of reflection, physics 101, stuff like that. And I went, oh, sine waves, because anytime frequency goes out, it emits sine waves. Okay? We don't necessarily see them unless the frequency is high enough. And so, yeah, when I was at the ex-psycho roommate, that house, when he would get up in the backyard, I remember standing, the door was closed. I didn't go out there because but when I did go out there before I noticed it, sure enough. So I went back in, and it wasn't long after that, because of Wi-Fi thingies that he had put back down the top, sine waves, right? They were coming down like this. And it was like, I saw dark purple, orange. I want to say even maybe I don't want to say red, but it was like more of a pinkish red. So I remember those three colors. It was pretty interesting. But that lets you know how high the frequency was back there. Oh, you found out that Boswellia is actually frankincense? Oh, that's right. Thank you, Chris. Because the health food guy, the health store dude, that's what he said, that Boswellia is like part of that family. And so, part of the gift brought to Jesus at birth, frankincense. Yeah. Yep. Thank you for sharing. I had not even thought of that, but you're right. The frankincense is mentioned at the birth of Jesus. There you go. Wow, that's profound. That is profound. And so, also explains why a lot of places don't carry frankincense like they used to. Remember, this fallen Babylonian world is all about keeping people away from Jesus. And that's just one of the many ways. And they do that. It's almost as if when a new revelation comes about, that's right. Good. Yes, God knows that we are working. Right, we are working on ourselves for his glory. Great point. Yes, aromas. Remember how the ANS, the autonomic nervous system, relies on our five senses for making association, positive and negative. This is why I suggest that if any of you having a negative association with a particular aroma, you want to change things up. Okay? You want to change things up and create a more pleasant aroma experience for it to relax. So thank you for that too, because yeah. And they don't want to call it frankincense. Because of that reason. That's a very good point. Very spot on. Absolutely. I see it. I do. I see it because it's part of the industry that, right, part of that industry that wants to keep people away from Jesus, because Jesus does what? Saves, cleans everything. So there you go. Yeah. Very interesting indeed, isn't it? They uncovering the mysteries of the gospel. Now, God said that we would do that. I'm paraphrasing, but said we were going to do that. We are uncovering the mysteries of the gospel, and then sharing mysteries of the gospel, and then paying closer attention to what the narcissistic matrix does to keep people away from Jesus. Yep. And that industry is a big one. And it's kind of crazy because even on the healthier side, it's part of the industry. Remember, evil plays both sides. Never forget that. Evil plays both sides. And yeah, I know. We're like, it takes a while, but yep. It is very interesting and lovely. At the same time. Right on. Absolutely. So that's more food for thought right there. More food for thought. I had not that. So thank you. That's an awesome point. That's right. And so I want to go ahead and say thank you to everyone who gives these videos a thumbs up. Okay? Yeah, thank you to everyone who gives these videos a thumbs up. Because that's just another way that we know that our fellow chosen one, spiritual warriors for Christ, will come across this content and it will resonate with them. Oh, see, that the enemy knows that too. So there you go, everybody. That wraps up today's episode, as I am still regrouping from a very weird day, but good one nonetheless, because like I said, blessings in disguises. I look at the lesson and then I go, okay, so now we know, right, that if that thing starts to throw a temper tantrum when it goes to the front office, right, and have that taken care of, so that we don't, right, so we don't end up going through that all over again. And, that also reminds me of how the ex-psycho was putting batteries in devices that didn't need one at that particular time. For example, my electric acoustic guitar that I had while there. So he put a 9-volt battery in it. I did not, because I only put a battery in it when I had an amp to hook it up to. That's the only time I needed a battery. You see? So now I understand now why he did that. Because anything that had a battery in it was going to provide power through the electrical static to some of those RFID tags. Wow. I got to do some more thinking on that one. but that makes sense because I remember finding batteries in devices where there was no need for a battery. Okay. Wow. Right. Just to continue to keep radio frequency pollution in the atmosphere. And all those items that I found them in happened to be in my little bitty bedroom. Imagine that. Okay. We got more coming. I can feel it. More connection to make to all of that. Because while I was replacing, oh yeah, I don't have that guitar anymore because I found a little triangle, electrical static field metal triangle, which is what was also drawing power from that battery. Wow. All right, everybody, there you go. More food for thought. All right, that's just some more food for thought. Yes. Okay, more food for thought as far as how radio frequency is used in a number of ways. So let me come on over here as we wrap up and see if I've got any question. That's right. And spot on about the frankincense. That's awesome. That's right, everybody. So there you go. All right. And for those who have questions, when you leave them in the comments on the replay, as always, I will get to those as soon as possible. So again, thank you all for your patience as life happens sometimes. All right, we're going to get back to it. And we are going to get all caught up. Yeah. And be able to continue bringing you all content and get up here and share with you some additional messages, reminders to not allow the narcissist to annoy you or irritate you because they will do more of it. That's the bottom line right there. That's how the enemy rolls. So there you go. We learn how to keep our composure, chosen one, because we got to. So awesome conversation, awesome chat today. After all, it is the Let's Just Chat show, right? All right. I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Let's Just Chat show. Streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center while combating radio frequency poisoning for healthier living. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true technique, and more here and at CHAacademybtbw.com. The link to the Academy is listed below. Some of you might need to copy and paste to view what CHAacademybtbw.com offers to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.